Don't leave the logo on the whole time.
I can't believe I did that. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Gundog Outdoors. I am Jeff Stanfield from the Winter Wonderland of Knox City with the world-famous Andy Shaver.
I took the logo off, so we're good to go. I still can't believe I did that.
And our friend from Oklahoma. You know why Jesus wasn't born in Oklahoma, Chris?
Oh, I don't even know the answer.
Couldn't find 3 wise men or a virgin.
Well, I'll go with
you. There you
go. So.
Our buddy Chris Kaiser, the duck hunting machine from public land. How was your season this year, Chris?
Man, it was a rough go, and I catch a lot of grief because I always put on my stuff, public landowner, all that stuff. I had guys call me this year. Why do you always do that? Why, what's wrong with hunting private? And I said, man, it's just a different game on this public ground. But it was a rough go for us. Now, Northeast Oklahoma was warmest November and warmest December on record over the last 100 years, and then super low water in most of the reservoirs around here. So my favorite lake, which is Eufaula, was 2 foot below most of the season, which might as well be 5 or 6 foot below, because that's a lot of open ground and dry ground that doesn't get water on it. So it was a tough go. Worst first half we've ever had. First split we've ever had. So
we were the opposite.
Well, as far as goose hunting, we were opposite.
Yes.
Now duck hunting,
we're horrible.
Duck hunting was bad all year long.
Our duck hunting never picked up
ever, and that's what it's so hard to get guys to understand. November, December are the warmest on record. Warmest on record.
Right.
It's dry. It's hot. It's 85 degrees on Christmas Day. It's going to take something major in January to make it worth anything.
On the bottom of the flyway.
Right.
Yeah, down here for sure, because they're so far away. They're in South Dakota. They're in North Dakota. Canada's people are still shooting them. A front here or there, and especially the fronts that we had, because I think Jeff and I were thinking we had a little bit of snow New Year's Day, 1st or 2nd, one of those days. It wasn't enough to move anything. I mean, it was gone in 2 days. And that's what we would get guys right after those fronts, like, oh, did you see a big push? It's like, no, like it wasn't big enough. Yes, it was a front, and I'm sure Nebraska and Kansas probably saw a big push, but like
they did.
It's nothing here.
No,
that's what happened. I follow a bunch of guys that I respect and trust, and northern Kansas and Nebraska absolutely stacked them. And we just, in my region now western Oklahoma is a whole different ballgame for what they do and what they get. Northeast Oklahoma, northern Oklahoma, this section, boy, we just didn't have it. We did not get the mallards for sure in my areas, and boy, did we worked our tail off to find them. More miles, more gas, 3 and 4 groups of guys scouting daily, and in our haunts, in the place that we frequent, we did not find the greenheads. Now, we found bunch of other stuff. Teal, almost a record amount of teal. We're just 20 birds shy of killing the most teal we've ever killed in 41 seasons.
It's a fun bird. It's a fun bird to shoot.
I'll take it every time. I had to defend myself a couple times on that too. You're wasting your shells. Why are you wasting those ball shot shells on those teal? Because that's all I got. Yeah. But we had a blast, and I'm never going to turn it down. I'm not going to stop. Even last Friday, I spent 4.5, 5 hours scouting Friday. My brother called me and said, hey, man, I got a couple thousand teal, on a lake here. And I just said, I'm loading my boat. I'm done. I'll meet you there, and we'll finish the season on those birds. And I
don't understand why anybody would knock anybody for shooting a teal.
Oh, it's just the young. It's the young guy. I mean, it's some young guys that I do communicate with them, but they're all these cats were up in Kansas, stacking the
around
green
St. Paul.
on that last. Yeah, in Wichita, west of Wichita a little
Okay,
bit.
the guys east of Wichita around St. Paul, Kansas, which I'm sure somebody's going to be pissed off at me for saying that name, but
I know they're all good. We can't make
no,
anybody happy.
I've given
Jeff.
up on trying to make people happy. I had a gripe at me the other day over something that was completely stupid. And I thought, dude, do you think I really am going to lose sleep over you being pissed about this? I mean, I make somebody mad every day. But I also get a bunch of emails of the other side, so there's more positive than negative. Anyway, St. Paul, Kansas, I kept seeing all these pictures of St. Paul, Kansas, all over the Instagram. So if you don't want people knowing about St. Paul, Kansas, then I wouldn't post a shit on Instagram. Picture St. Paul, Kansas. St. Paul, Kansas has 629 people. I just looked it up. St. Paul, Kansas, there is a good chance that I have a kinfolk that's in St. Paul, Kansas, because my dad was a wild man when he was younger, and he grew up about 30 minutes from St. Paul, Kansas. So I might have a legitimate brother over there that I don't even know about.
Illegitimate.
Right.
So there might be a bastard Stanfield running around St. Paul, Kansas somewhere.
Right.
Come get your.
No, they did pretty well, and I commend them. Applause to you. Yeah, there was just some guys giving. Yeah, I think they were kidding a little bit, but I took a little bit of. I think there was some seriousness to it too. But man, it's all we could find, and I'm not, no shame in my game. We're gonna whack them, and I'm out there to kill 6 too. We're gonna kill a limit per person. So you can, mallard purist or whatever. That's not me. Now we used to be, but the game's changed. So we're just, I spend too much money, too much drive time, too much resources on. I'm not going to sit down and just try to kill mallards.
I've been on some of my best hunts as a kid. Were with my dad and my brother, and we would kill 30 to 70 green-winged teal in a morning. Now that was back on the 10-bird limit, but our limit was 100 shells growing up. So whatever we shot in 100 shells as we quit.
I've heard you talk about it.
But there's lots of days that I was on lots of 50 bird teal shoots growing up as a kid. Yep. All green wings.
Yep.
And they are fun to shoot.
Yep. They're awesome, dude. I mean, I fell back in love with them. I didn't shoot a lot of them early in my career because we were always hunting thick, green timber. In fact, the first teal I ever shot, I thought I shot someone's pet duck. I'm like, what? I actually drove it to my dad's store to show, almost in shame, what is this? What did I just kill? He's like, that's a green winged teal. I'm like, man, it was beautiful. It was like a diamond. But man, I've become a fan. I love them, so I'm gonna chase them.
So y'all are dry. Lake Eufaula is dry, or
it's 2 foot below. I don't know all the details. I mean, there's people that are saying that there was some work going on the dam, and they have let that water flow through there the whole season. And so that's my stomping grounds. I mean, I grew up on that water. It's the largest reservoir inside the state line. So Texoma is bigger, but that is a border lake. But Eufaula is kind of your kingpin for what's going to happen here in this eastern part of the state in regards to ducks. And when it's low like it has been, it sure puts a hurt on the ability to hold ducks and keep them here in this part of the state for sure.
I got to quit.
And I won't leave it. I don't mind telling people. I tell people all the time, I will not leave that lake if I don't have to. If the ducks will not let me. And they let me. I mean, I had to go. I had to find other places to hunt
now,
this year.
Now, the Selman brothers are from Eufaula, aren't they?
Eufaula, yeah. All 3 of them. And J.C. Watts.
I didn't know that. Well, he was a stud quarterback. They must have won some state championships back then.
Oh, they were stud. It's awesome to rewind and look at the history of those guys. And, the mom, I mean, the Selman mother, she's world famous. I mean, she's the one that, the legacy that they left at the OU. So
did all 3 of them play in the NFL?
I think only Leroy, but maybe they all might have got a shot. But Leroy's the one that went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and had a phenomenal career. I think he's actually in the Hall of Fame.
What's your thoughts? Jeff thinks that Lincoln Riley did OU wrong. What do you think?
Oh man, he shattered the whole place. Got handed the keys to the Cadillac. I mean, that's a top 5 school. It's been one forever, and got handed the keys to drive that machine, and left that place high and dry. And then it'll take. I hate to say this because I got one of my son Matt's best friend is Andrew Rain, which is the starting center there. I just think it's going to take a couple of years for them to rebuild and to get.
Lincoln Riley had to be freaked out about going to the SEC, though. I mean, you can go to USC, where your biggest competition is what? Oregon.
Well, I don't know. USC hadn't won since they quit paying Reggie Bush and all that.
But that's a hell of a lot better than having to go up against Georgia.
Oh, I agree with you on that. I'm not saying that part. I'm not saying what he did.
I think if they stay in the Big 10 or Big 12 or whatever the hell it is now, he's still there.
First of all, I hate to correct a friend, Chris, but John Blake was not a top 5 guy when he was at OU.
Well,
yes, you're right.
I'm talking overall program history, legacy, national championships, and I get what you're saying. I lived through that era and did a lot of work on that campus during the Howard Schnellenberger, John Blake era. So they gave away a lot of tickets those years.
But from the time Bud Wilkerson was there until present, they have been a top 5 program year in and year out every year. Even Alabama went through some bad days at some times.
Sure.
But, when Ray Perkins was there, I think Alabama had some tough times. But they've been a top program forever. Now, the icing on the cake was yesterday when I saw the quarterback was going to USC now too.
Boy, did you see that?
I know all my Oklahoma buddies. My Oklahoma State fans are laughing their ass off. My OU fans are hurting.
Yeah, they're hurting bad. Yeah, my oldest son's a season ticket holder there and at OU. And man, I text back and forth with him, and he's so livid, man. The Sooner Nation's livid at that deal, but like I said, just how it shattered the whole program. Dudes entering that transfer portal, and wow. Now I've seen some memes come out last night and this morning about the USC tradition and stuff like that. It's going to be, they're going to give him some grief, man. That Caleb Williams.
I don't think that. The kid from Muleshoe. What's the coach's name? Lincoln Riley, and he's from Muleshoe, I think.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think I don't think he lasts in USC 5 years.
Why?
I don't think he's going to win there. First of all,
why
Los
Angeles
doesn't support. He may win, but he ain't going to win a national championship there. He didn't win a national championship at Oklahoma, and he had a lot more talent in Oklahoma is going to have in Los Angeles. This NIL or whatever the hell it is right now, it's ruined college football.
Yeah.
I saw Lane Kiffin just made a big comment a post yesterday about it. I guess yesterday was National Signing Day, maybe for the
no,
today is the third or fourth one for the year they have, and he made a comment that we can't pay our players what Texas A&M is paying their players. They ought to have to pay a luxury tax on how much they're paying their incoming freshmen, and I think that USC. Right. When before they could pull recruits from all over the country, these kids are going to be getting paid to go to other schools. I don't think. I don't think he wins. I don't think he's a top 5 program at USC in the next 3 years.
No, I don't either. I think the talent level that he's going to have to rebuild is going to take 3 years, and then now the competition level out there is a much different ballgame. It's going to be a little bit easier, I think, and so. And I think he'll climb the ranks pretty quickly that way, but I still don't think he's gonna be knocking on that playoff door.
The best program soon. In the Pac-12 or Pac-14, 16, 10, whatever, how many they are, I don't even know how they were, is Notre Dame of the West, which is Stanford. They year in and year out are really good, but they have higher academic standards, so it costs them a chance every year to be really good.
They're not in that, are they?
Yes, they are. Them and Oregon.
It's the Pac-10, isn't it?
Or Pac-12. I don't know what it is.
Pac-12?
But I don't know. I think Lincoln Riley screwed Oklahoma over. I don't think coaches should be able to leave. I can't believe you can't make them stick to their contract.
Boy, that's a hard deal.
But it's everywhere. But if me and you sign a contract, we've got to uphold our contract.
You can get out of any contract.
Yeah. No, not always you can. I know a lot of guys that have no compete clauses that can't go to work for another plumbing company for a year or two.
Well, they just don't have the right attorney. California, Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford, Washington, Washington State, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, UCLA, USC, and Utah. I think
that's not much different than let's be honest.
He's going to win that.
The Big 12 is not been. Oklahoma has been the creme de la creme of the conference.
Yes.
Just
Absolutely.
like Kansas has been in basketball, which nobody cares about basketball hardly. But that's the same.
I do. My Red Raiders won last night.
You didn't even know.
We beat Texas. We beat
Who's the top?
we beat Beard.
Who's the top scorer?
Huh?
Who's the top scorer on that team?
We beat Texas.
That's what I'm saying. Andy don't have a clue.
I had to look at Instagram to even know that we won.
He knows they won.
And I had to find it on Instagram.
Well, those people
didn't know they were playing.
They hate Texas basketball right now down there.
Oh yeah, they do. And they should. How did Chris Beard get out of his contract? How did that even happen? He should be in Texas Tech.
I don't understand that how they get out all these contracts. What did USC have to pay Oklahoma for him to leave that contract?
Boy, I don't know. I'm sure it was a hefty sum.
Did you see his contract?
But I heard
don't his contract include a private jet?
Yeah, jet, and I think they bought it 2 homes and then bought him a home out there. My first comment when some guys that are in the system at OU, mentioned that he's leaving, I said, "Why would you move your family to California?
Yeah, no doubt.
Why? Your kiddos, That's just the first thing as a family man that struck me. But then, you talk about $70 million contract, and you can private school and protect your family. Build it. You can build your empire.
Would you put your kids in school in California for $70 million? I wouldn't. Considering you already got a great life, you're already living like a king in Norman, Oklahoma. I think the best college.
I'm telling you, he had the key. He had the keys to the whole kingdom.
I don't understand. The best job in college football in America, and people are going to laugh at me when I say this, is the cat in Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's making $7-8 million a year. He can win.
Mike Gundy knows
he's
it.
making 8. He's going to win 8 to 12 ball games a year. He's never going to win a national championship. He might get in the tournament one time in 10 years. He's going to be competitive. He's going to be relevant. He's going to be making bank, and his kids get to live in a moderately sized town. What a great place to live. And I'll bet, I don't even know where Mike Gundy lives at, but I bet you he don't have to lock his doors at his house even.
I bet he doesn't either. I'd go there with you.
I mean, and that's what a great life. So, that's kind of like when Mike Leach was at Tech.
And we'll be set forever.
Yes.
That family will be, smart. That's a business decision.
$110 million, Lincoln Riley.
I would much rather be
110. They bought both of his houses. Then they're buying him a $6 million home in L.A.
I'd rather live in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
That's what I've heard. I'm with you, bro.
Making bank.
Jeff,
I just don't. That's a job that's as good a job as you're going to. And I've never understood. It's like the guy at Iowa State, Matt Campbell. Why would you leave Iowa State to go to Auburn or somewhere? That would be dumb.
Right. Yep. You got to weigh the differences, man, the pros and cons. I think Gundy made it, he knows it. I know enough about Mike that he knows, man, this is the dream. I'm living it, and this is how, and he's well respected, well liked, gets along pretty well with the upper administration, and keep winning games and do what you do.
He's got about as good a life as anybody I know of. So let's talk duck hunting again.
Well, hold on.
All right.
Hold on. Lincoln Riley's previous contract with OU was 5 years, $32 million.
Not
enough, Jeff.
Green.
Not enough, Jeff.
Sold his kids out to go live in.
Sold his kids out. Keep them in Oklahoma. They'll be just fine.
That's what I would have done. Okay.
Now you can go back.
Talk about, since you're the duck guru of the public hunting land.
Oh, man.
Do you got...
Put that crown on me.
Do you have guys that follow you around in the morning trying to see where you're hunting?
I do sometimes. Not gonna lie.
Like when you roll up,
and jokingly too. I've had some guys that trail or follow. Or I had a guy 2 weeks ago. I saw him turn around. I saw a guy turn around and follow me. Now I was just out scouting, but I'm like, this guy is following me. And because I'm so dumb. This is a dumb thing that I have Kai's guys on the back of my boat. So I have and so guys know, who I am, but that's okay, But it's part of it. And there's a couple young guys that I communicate with. I try to be nice and courteous and I'm like, if you see my rig here, especially during the morning, that usually means there's some ducks around. So now if you see me in the afternoon scouting, that means nothing. And I can't tell you. But it's okay. I'm used to it. Been doing it a long, long time. So on a lot more crowded public ground than there is, these days. So
do you get the guy that recognizes you at the boat ramp?
every once in a while, I've had some guys walk up to me at the ramp and visit with me, know me, especially since social media has taken over and I'm pretty prevalent, that way. I mean, it's a game to me. My kids get on me about, they're like, "What are you doing, Dad?" I'm like, "Man, it's all for my fun and games." There's some intentionality to it, but it also, you can communicate with guys and follow some that you want and respect, and then stay away from. It's also helped me stay away from some guys that I know I just don't want to be around.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is you can sniff out.
I had a guy told me that he saw you at a boat ramp. He said there was two guys at the boat ramp, and he goes, "Do you know, is that Phil Robertson?" He goes, "I don't know if that's Phil Robertson." He goes, "But that's Chris Kaiser."
I had a guy. Okay, so I'm trying to think of when it was. 1st of December. It was the second half split, maybe the opener. A friend of mine was hunting in Nebraska, and he's probably listening to this podcast. And he sent me his dad saw me at a gas station and sent me a picture. Or his dad sent him a picture. He sent me a picture and said, "I know where you're at." And he goes, "You're probably killing more in Oklahoma than I am in Nebraska."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, I'm just going to tell you, we stacked them up pretty good this morning." He goes, "Yeah, my dad said I should be home in Oklahoma, and I'm up here chasing them in Nebraska." And I said, "Well, it's funny." I said, you know right where I'm sitting right now. I mean, somebody had a picture of my rig, so that's okay. But it was cool that this kid, he had enough guts to communicate with me and say, "Hey, I know where you're hunting today." I go, "Yeah, you got me pegged."
Duck hunting's a big secret deal, and Instagram has really changed it. It's funny because if we mention the name of the place, like I did St. Paul, Kansas a minute ago, somebody will get
you're going to get hate
what's
mail.
the name? Alamosa, Colorado. Andy ruined Alamosa, Colorado.
Oh, I know. I heard y'all. But I've been up there enough to know that front range is unbelievable. And I've got some FCA staff guys and guys that hunt up there. You guys pegged it. I mean, that's where I'd be going.
Yeah. So. This podcast has gone through several times where I've been like, okay, I gotta kind of rein it in. So when we first started this, you just shoot from the hip, whatever comes out comes out, and then I don't know, as it grows, you start to feel a little bit more responsible in the way that you speak. I know sometimes it probably doesn't seem that way with some of the stuff that we talk about, but you do kind of.
Hey, these last couple podcasts, boy, I don't know, man. You better.
It's rough, isn't it? But
those your guides. I'm like, ooh. So,
but
I was going to ask you: is all the angel envy gone?
We still got some.
Is it empty?
Still got a little bit.
Yeah. You remind me of Jack Sparrow on Pirates of
Why
Caribbean.
Is the rum gone?
Why is all the rum always gone?
My damn check deal. No, my stamp.
Check. Oh.
But keep going. You were talking about you got to protect your words. You got to protect your.
Yeah, I mean, it just you can't. I started to realize how many people were listening, and I started to realize who was listening. And in the early days, it might have been fun to poke fun at something or somebody, and then it's like, well, wait a second, we're
not allowed to do that anymore. Not in a fuck that guy or he's a douchebag or anything, something like that. If I've never even met the guy, how can I say that about somebody, no matter how he seems on social media, because that person's listening all of a sudden. And it's not just it's grown a lot, and it about a year into it, it kind of hit me okay, this is taking hold and people are listening, and you've got a responsibility of not just spouting off at the mouth if you don't really know something about a person or a subject or whatever. So I haven't got to that point.
You got to. Jeff probably will never get there, but you do have to guard it a little bit. Your influence and your impact, and like you said, the word responsibility increases. And you guys have. And I said this before. You've grown your brand, and you've grown who you are because of who you are. Yeah. And what and how you are, and people love that. But at the same time, that that circle grows, and you've got to be a little bit more responsible, I guess, protective.
I had a kid come up to me. You were scouting with me the other day. I was looking for a place to hunt out here, and I was like, "But there ain't nowhere to hunt out here." And I was nice about it. I was very nice.
Well, he was wanting to get on private, and between the 3 outfitters out here, there is no private that's not locked up.
No,
and I told him, I said, if I was going to hunt, I would go up in the Texas Panhandle somewhere. Actually, I've said this on the podcast before. I'd go to the mountain states, find a place on the map where there's no towns anywhere at, and that's where you go find your place to hunt way out west somewhere. Because that's the last hidden places, and the farther away you are, there's less chance someone else is out there looking for a place to hunt. You're not going to go anywhere between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, driving down any kind of small road and find a pond with ducks on it that someone else ain't asked already to hunt on. And it's just the way it is. You're not going to do it within 50 miles of Wichita, Kansas. You're not, any town in the Midwest, you're going to have to go somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And even in somewhere in the middle of nowhere, we live in the middle of nowhere. And there's no place you can hunt here anymore. Deer hunting has changed a lot of that because of deer leases. Back before there were deer everywhere, people didn't care that much about the ducks and geese, and I think the same way with the pheasants up north. But people have started leasing their deer hunting property. Is there any acreage around Eufaula that's not leased up for deer hunting at least?
Probably not. I mean, not that to my knowledge. I mean, it's well sought after. So especially for deer. I mean, deer's still the king.
Yes.
I'm a turkey hunter, so that's closed down a little bit too. I used to be able to get permission on everybody's deer leases because they're like, they don't care about turkey now. I've gotten some no's, and no, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
More people are turkey hunting that have these deer leases. They're also turkey hunting in the spring.
Well, I think the deer leases are there's a little bit more turkey pressure, but then the guys are realizing guys that are coming on are asking for permission. Also they're going to come back and knock on my door, October 1st, and see if I can get
makes more sense.
Get in on a deer stand or archery hunt or so. Well, can I rewind with you guys on your season a little
absolutely.
bit? You guys, you gave me a little bit of hope early on because you were, I saw you chasing, getting the birds off the peanuts and the feed fields. And I think you guys must have had a phenomenal first run. The first half 19th. Was...
Up to December 19th was good as ever.
It ended December
19th. I can tell you the exact day.
It started getting tough. We will be running birds. You can mark this down right now. October 11th of 2022.
Calendar birds.
I will be pushing birds off peanuts, and we run them off every day. Now, supposedly, the great state of Texas has woke up and is going to move our season back up to November 5th. Is what I've been. That is the rumor. It should be October 28th, back like it used to be. But I'm going to be happy. November 5th at least gives me an extra week. I have already sold out the weekend of November 5th, and I've got a few days left during that week. So if you really want a good hunt, I'm going to give myself a plug here since I own the place. I guess I can.
I agree. I love
Monday through Friday, that first week, if you want to come up and shoot a trophy spec, I've got openings that first week. November 6th or November 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th as of right now. But that thing will be – I'll have that sold out pretty fast. But we had a great season up to December 19th, as good as ever. But we kept saying, and I kept telling the new guys, it's 80 degrees, it's 72 degrees, it's 67 degrees, the low's 55. It's going to catch up to us. Dude, at Christmas time, it caught up to us.
When it hit,
our sandhill crane hunting was not near as good this year as it was the year before.
Why do you think that?
Everybody, other than some guys that's out in the Texas Panhandle, everybody else I know that crane hunted had a lot of struggle days. I think we've shot a lot of the juvenile birds. They only have 2 babies, I think, at each hatch. I think they only raised 2 juvies or 1 juvie. And when we were in Michigan, we saw a lot of hatchlings, sandhills, and after someone said that, I started noticing you didn't see a whole bunch, like a family group of geese. You'd see 3 of them or 4 of them maybe.
And now that I'm thinking about it, just looking back at, I'm looking at a picture here, adult. That's a juvie. Adult.
But
so there's 20 birds here and there's 1 juvie?
One of our other problems we had this year with our crane hunting is it wasn't lack of birds. We had a ton of cranes all season long.
Did you really?
The problem was our wheat never germinated. We never got any rain or moisture on our wheat. So there's wheat seed
everywhere.
because I was going to ask about the water supply, and you didn't get the rain. You didn't get
no rain. We were full. All of our playas had water in them on July 4th. A lot of water. It looked like it was going to be a great season.
Yeah, so did we.
No rain at all in late summer. No rain September and October, which are our 4 wettest months are May, June, September, October. We got no rain in September and October, none. It's rained more today. Right now, it's been a constant freezing rain, sleet right now. We've been here for 3 hours. It hasn't stopped yet. We haven't had any of that all winter. We never had 3 hours
in the whole season.
But we have one of our ranches we have is about 35,000 acres, and there's 25,000 acres of it's wheat. There's 25,000 acres of wheat seed up there. So you go hunt here today, and the cranes can be there for 2 or 3 days in the same spot. You hunt there, and you either get the first flock in or they go land a mile from you in the same field or another field, and then everything goes straight to it. And it was that way all year long. And it was that way with a lot of people. Cranes were just dicks this year.
Yeah. They made it hard, but they saved you a year or two ago, I think, didn't they?
Last year was really good.
Last year in January was really good. And we had some good hunts in January. I've got some groups that left here that had great shoots every time they were here in January. And the other groups here had a really tough time. I mean, we're 70% booked for all of Nick's season already. So it was a good season for us business-wise. But the last 4 weeks was absolutely the hardest 4 weeks I ever remember in the hunting business. And it wasn't from the lack of not having birds. It was just the birds did not want to cooperate, and we had no weather.
Had you told me in September, this is the amount of birds that you're going to have to hunt in January, I'd have said, we're stacking them every day.
Bring
and then,
didn't happen.
I mean, like I said, December 19th hit, and we had 3 hunts before Christmas break. And we were like, okay, they're going to have a couple days off at Christmas. We'll hunt them for 3 or 4 days between Christmas and New Year's. Those days will be pretty good. Then they'll get a break at New Year. And then after New Year, we had the front coming. We were like, we'll get back to business as usual. I think that there was even a big moon somewhere in there. So we were like, you had all the usual, like this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. But we've got days coming up that we're just going to be off. Birds are they'll get a breather. And we came back from Christmas, and it was like, oh boy. We
just took it on the chin.
We hunted those couple of days, and we were like, okay, we got a front coming New Year.
Big snowstorm. Good.
There will be something, and they're going to have 2 or 3 days off at New Year. And then we got back from New Year, and it was like, oh no, like it's exactly like it was December 20th.
Sun comes up at 6:48 in the morning. At 6:50, my phone rings, and a guy from Kansas. Did you pick up a bunch of new birds? Shit, I don't know. It's 2 minutes into this. How do I know? Hell, there's nothing even left to lake yet. I don't have a clue. And it was like that all the time. But waterfowl hunters, we lie to ourselves because we don't lie to other people. We're honest with people. If someone asks me how the hunting, it's tough. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But we'll lie to each other. We'll lie to ourselves about it's going to get better. What is it Josh said that day? It's like a girl that...
It's like you're with like a crack whore for a wife or something. Like you keep telling yourself like she's not going to break your heart again. And, she's on the straight and narrow. And then like the next day, it's just like it breaks you. I mean, it really does.
It's like Groundhog Day.
God.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here we go again.
But
my kitchen ladies saved our ass in January. They did.
Well, it's because of the good food.
Yeah, we feed top-notch meals here.
I know you do. I see the pictures.
And that's a good thing. I didn't post pile pics in November and December. Didn't do it because you're just setting yourself up for failure down the road. But we do a lot of pictures around the lodge. We do a lot of content stuff. We might have a picture of just stuff that looks good for Instagram. But my Michelle and the ladies that worked here, we serve good meals and we feed people good. And I think that makes a big difference is getting to come here. I don't want guys having a shitty hunt going to sit at some fucking flea bag hotel and sit around bitching in the parking lot all day drinking beer.
Eating a Subway sandwich.
Yes.
So that
you've got it going on. You've done a great job with all that. I haven't even been there, but we're coming. My guys want to come do a crane hunt, so I'm sorry to tell you that, Andy.
That's all right.
We are. Now I got another question on the water hunt with the waders, with the crane. Is that the only place those dang cranes were coming?
We had some field hunts we done good on, but we had that bit us in the ass also.
I laughed when I saw that picture.
Two of my nemesis.
Because I know this. Yes. You hate the cranes and you hate the water and the waders, and you got it. All three of them were in that picture. I'm like, this is classic. And then you mentioned the burrito, but I don't think the burrito had much to do with it.
I got to say, though, so since we did not have a whole lot of water, that was like the couple times I got to wear those new waders, and my goodness.
Yeah. They're the bomb, huh?
It's insane how good, like, the boot is just the most comfortable thing. It was incredible.
And there's wader pants too. Shingo has, right?
Yeah, wader pants. But it was warm that day, so I didn't wear them. But you get these new waders and they're high dollar, and you're like, man, I can't wait to wear them. And then all your ponds dry up, and you're like, well, what the hell now?
Andy
was my only shot.
Andy went to do a hunt with my grandkids during teal season. They were going to do a teal hunt on Sunday afternoon. Well, I drove over Scout and Dove, and I had a sneaking suspicion this one lake that we have that didn't have any water in it.
We were big duck hunting.
It was big duck season? Okay, that Stoner had just got here.
Teal hunted there.
Okay, Andy had teal hunted there, so he went and hunting. He asked me if I wanted to go. I was like, hell, I ain't going. So
90 degrees.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go. So they went down there, and Andy calls me. He goes, you think we got time to get to our other lake? I'm not going to say its name. I said, well, what's going on? He goes, this sucker's dry. I said, I had a sneaking suspicion. Well, it would have been really nice if you'd have told me that before I walked in there. Waded the kids, the equipment.
Everything.
Wife, both boys went in there to hunt wearing waders in 90-degree weather, and this sucker was bone dry. Now, we're shooting pigs on it.
That's too bad.
We'll do guided pig hunts on it. It holds a lot of pigs now. But
there you go. Or I heard the snake hunts. You got the snakes coming through there.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
That was your hunt,
wasn't it? Again, I mean, it just it was teal season, and the sun, we were on the west side, so we were looking back towards the sunrise, and you just kind of see this little something that doesn't look quite right. And this is my first time with snakes in the spread. And we had some guys.
Because it was so dang warm.
Yeah, we had guys from East Texas. They're like, hey, can we shoot this water snake? I'm like, well, yeah, you can shoot this water snake. I said, where is it? And it said he's right on the bank. So shot it, and then they just came out of everywhere. Like, there was snakes. We're hunting in tall grass, and they're all swimming directly to us. If they keep swimming, they're going to be right at my feet. So they shot 2 more underneath the Lucky Duck spinners, and then I could see, like, out past where all the decoys were, it was just like a snake interstate just swimming. So I got my poor dog, and and now all of a sudden I got snakes everywhere, and I'm afraid to let them go out after a teal. It was terrible.
Joke.
I was so ready for that hunt to be over with, or at least have the sun come up so that I could see, because you're sitting there in the tall grass, and like you feel something move behind you, and you're like, well, this is it. They're gonna get me. And then I don't know if they're water moccasins or water snakes. Half the guys were saying they're water moccasins, so I'm like, great, my dog's gonna get bit. The other half's like, no, they're just water snakes. They're harmless. They'll make you hurt yourself. So to this day, I still don't know what they were. I'm going with poisonous anaconda, Texas edition. Dead snake. It would have killed me had I not killed it.
I get it.
But
hey, speaking of that, I guess I'm running the interview. I guess. How's Lou?
Lou's doing excellent.
Lou survived.
Lou's doing excellent.
He's the man.
I guess he got so low on fluids. The vet said, like, a lot of times, like when you see this, especially in older dogs, they need that IV to kind of restart their system or whatever. But I took him on a Tuesday. They said if he's not better by Thursday, bring him back. And he had gotten a lot worse, so we went back. They kept him overnight, started an IV, and then got a call. So that was Thursday. So I got a call Friday that he was holding down food and liquid, and that I could come get him. But kept boiling rice and chicken throughout the weekend, and he ate great. And then he got back. So he got back the Monday after that. So he had a little break in between. But they said it was probably just stomach bug. Oddly enough,
that's good news.
Your uncle is an idiot.
Well, yeah, he is.
So
of course he is.
It's sleeting like a sumbitch around here, and I got my truck parked under the carport back by at the kitchen. There's a 2-car carport there. Well, I pull in this morning. There's a rhino there, or a ranger, whatever the hell we call them things, and parked in the middle. So I put my truck in on the west side under the one, and there's 3: Tony's truck, the ranger, and me's there. Well, somehow someone's moved my truck out and put it on the east side under there and have the ranger on the west. Well, guess which way, or the west side, guess which way the wind's blowing out of and the precipitation?
Yeah.
The north?
Yep.
The west. So
right
my
on
truck,
your windshield.
my whole windshield's just covered. So I went out there and started my truck and left it going. I thought, dumbass, why did you put it there?
Well, and the coffee pot's off.
Huh?
Yeah, the coffee pot's not going. I had to nuke the coffee's piss warm.
Hey, duck season or goose season, it's all over and everybody loses their mind.
Yeah, it's insane.
Can't figure life out.
Nobody can figure it out.
It's like my wife. She won't be here until August 30th. We do meals. Yeah. Our first meal we do here is the night of the 2nd. September 2nd, we will have a meal for 60 dove hunters. Michelle will show up August 30th.
That's only 7 months away, Jeff.
And she will point out things that we should have had done over the last 4 months, though, or 5 months.
She'll throw a fit.
Every year, never fails.
It'll be bad.
Why is this way? Michelle, we've been bacheloring it out here for 5 months with no problems at all. Don't come mess up our system.
We had a camera crew. Out here that's the time. If we're ever going to get a camera crew out here, it needs to be the day before we start running hunters and the day that we start running dove hunters, because it is chaos. Mom and Jeff are bitching at one another. Tony and Jeff are bitching at one another. And then I just try to keep my head down and pray to God that nobody notices that I'm out here.
Exactly.
I mean, it would be TV gold. Last year,
reality series right there.
Oh my goodness! Last year, we have hunters pulling down the driveway, and the oven we have a gas oven, and it makes a weird noise.
We have 2 ovens. We have a propane and electric. We have a commercial kitchen oven,
and the gas one goes foof, foof, and then all the lights go out on it, all the pilot lights, and we're like,
trouble.
That's not supposed to happen, especially as guys are coming down the driveway. So we go outside and we open the propane lid, and it says 40%, 50% or whatever. We give it a little tap, and that gauge just goes pew,
to zero.
To nothing?
To nothing. To nothing.
My goodness.
3 rooms, hot water heater, hot water in all the dining area. I go a little pissed because I am really good at delegating shit, and that was not part of the things that I'm responsible for.
Somebody had one job.
One job. And I was
check the propane, and he called Tony. And
it was freaking
bad.
hot.
Bad. Jeff's throwing the cordless phone, and Mom's yelling at him because that's where she does all of her cookies. And if the gas oven doesn't work, there's no cookies, and it's a big oven, so that's where the roast goes. And
Friday at 2:00.
Yeah.
And you ain't
Labor Day weekend.
You ain't getting shit done here on the weekend.
You can't make a worse timing.
No.
Worse.
Thank God the guys came out and they done it that afternoon. I called the guy on the cell phone and stuff.
Begged him.
I was hot. Boy, I was hot.
But, I mean, we got 60 people that are coming. And, and to Tony's credit, he did check it. He checked the gauge. It said 40 to 50%, but he didn't give it the old little tap.
Yeah, once I found out when we tapped it went to 0, I couldn't be mad at him anymore. But it was easier to be mad at him than I was myself for just assuming it was all right.
And then mom just flies off the handle when any little bit of pushback happens, and she's off the rails for the entire day. And that happened. And
you can't have that.
No,
can't have that.
She was freaking out, and it's just like, listen, this is where we are. No amount of bitching in the world is going to stop this.
That has never stopped her before.
Let's figure this out and get going. But that's the day that we need a film crew out here.
We had business was great, hunting was great, and then it was horrible. Around the lodge, employees were great. Man, we had a great pro staff.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints other than just the bird hunting the way it was. Everything else worked out good. We have you have all kinds of stuff. I'm going to tell you what, our kitchen, not only that, the supply issues is getting to be a problem. Me and Michelle went grocery shopping yesterday in Abilene. We go to United, which is the nicest grocery stores they have in Abilene. I don't know what it's comparable to in Oklahoma City or Tulsa that y'all go to, but it's the nice ones. And they didn't have any produce yesterday. Now, I asked a guy, because Michelle's a Q tinfoil hat wearer, so it's all, there's a big conspiracy, cut out her broccoli or something. But so I told her, I said, Michelle, it's because of the snow and everybody's stocking up. Now, I don't know why everybody's stocking up on killing bananas right now, but they were. But I asked a guy, and he said it's been that way the last 3 days. But just the groceries in general, there was no juice, there was no, and the medicine, Tylenol, cold medicine shit. And I'm assuming that's because all the COVID scare everywhere. But it's crazy.
Right.
Our grocery stores look like Moscow, Russia in 1984 right now.
That's too bad. Well, what I wish it was a little bit later that we were talking about that. We did the online order a day ago, and we're picking it up today at 3. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway.
How are the schools in Oklahoma? Are they have they shut down with this new variant that's popping up with COVID? Are y'all still able to get on campus to these kiddos?
Struggling with substitutes, we've tried to come up with all kinds of different strategies to bring, state workers and people in to help keep the kids in the classroom. They've kept most of them open, tried their hardest to keep them open. But we're struggling with teachers. The teachers have been out, and then the substitutes to fill in for teachers that are. But most of Oklahoma stayed true and stayed open the best they can. But the substitute shortage has been awful. For people to just come in and man a classroom. So
now, what is that attributable to? Is that there's not as many people, or are people not putting their name in the hat to substitute as much anymore?
Yeah, both, and just the fear of being around kids, being around kids that might, I don't know really. I mean, that's a great question, but I know guys that are out in the general workforce that are subbing now, really? Just to help out. Just it's almost a service opportunity.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go help somebody. If the school systems need this, I'm signing up. I'll go sit in the classroom for 6 hours or 4 hours or whatever. So
I was going to sub. I've told my superintendent I would love to be a sub.
You would.
Are you guys having some of the same issues?
A small town that's close to here, they shut down. What day was Dylan at? Was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, they shut down for 2 days.
They shut down like Wednesday to Friday, I think it was, or Monday to Wednesday. It doesn't matter, but it was the same deal. The kids were all fine. It was the teachers that had COVID, and they couldn't get enough subs. And finding if you need more than 2 or 3 subs out here, you're in trouble. So for this school to lose 6 to 10 teachers, it was impossible. So they just shut it down.
Yeah. I would love to sub if they would let me teach history and things I like. I would enjoy it.
But here's those kids. You don't teach as a substitute teacher. You walk in and you get the lessons plan. And you got packets that you hand out, crossword puzzles. Like you don't ever
get to go in there, Jim. No. You don't get to put your knowledge in.
No, it's here. Do this and shut up for 45 minutes.
See, that's not. I wouldn't want that. I want to teach and visit. And
I know you don't. That's why. They're not letting you in there to do that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be no fun at all. I want to talk to them, and that would be good because I'm not going to be a pushover. Well, you'll have your chances,
but it won't be in that teaching opportunity.
That wouldn't be no fun.
You do it here. I saw a tweet the other day. It was a speech pathologist in Florida. She has seen a 300% increase in doctor referrals because kids 2 to 4 are so far behind in their speech development, and they attribute it all to mask wearing and isolation. So they say that a baby at 8 months of age will start to read lips and will start to learn how to speak. And because we've been in masks for the last 2 years, just 2 to 4 are they're years behind where they should be. And she's seen a 300% increase in doctor referrals. That's just one speech pathologist in Florida. So there's no telling what sort of what learning disabilities and how far behind kids are actually going to be in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about that last time we were together. Yeah. So,
but 300%, like that's
crazy.
That's crazy. That's a crazy number to wrap your head around. And that it's all because of mask wearing, and these poor kids are in isolation for so long. They're not around anybody that's outside of their family. I mean, and that's in Florida. Imagine what it's like in California and New York, where they've been shut down this entire time. At least Florida's kind of getting back to normal.
I have decided in the last 2 years, there's nothing more ignorant than a liberal. I mean, you can put stuff right out in front of them and show them, and they just don't care. I mean, they do not care. It's kind of like this deal with Whoopi Goldberg. I don't care that Whoopi Goldberg, what she said about the Jews. I don't. Because I'm not Sensitive Sally. What she said was wrong. Should they fire her for that? No, she should be able to say what she wants. But they also shouldn't fire a white person when they say something derogatory about a black person. People are too damn sensitive these days. I agree with what she said? No, not at all. But by the standards they do with everyone else, they probably need to can her. But I don't agree on it, like the mask stuff. Like Gavin Newsom at that Super Bowl without a mask the whole damn time. And then he lied about it, and then people take up for him. I saw a lady say, well, he was vaccinated. That don't have a damn thing to do with mask. You know, if he's telling your kid who's 6 years old at school he has to wear a mask every day, and you see him with 100,000 people at a football game and nobody's wearing a mask, that doesn't bother you just a little bit?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't understand this. I can't imagine what road we're going down and what the final result's going to be in 10 years.
I don't know if anybody knows. That's going to be the tough part about it.
What the thing that I have a hard time wrapping my head around is why? Are they that incompetent that they don't look to these things? Is there, I know my mother and Tony would think that this is a master plan, but if the plan is to wreck society, how does that benefit anybody? Like if you're George Soros and you're behind it and you want to destroy Western civilization, well, you still live here. Like, what the hell do you get out of it?
Yeah, how are you going to survive it?
Right. So
yeah, I don't know what their end result either. I know people get power hungry, and there's no doubt in Congress, there's people are power hungry, and in Washington D.C. want to control everything. We're letting 600 idiots ruin our life. Both political parties are all involved in this crap, and we're just sheep. But there's a lot of us that are standing up for this. But it's the sheep that just do whatever they tell them. We're going to take the 6th booster, the 7th booster. When are you going to wake up and realize that them boosters ain't working?
Yeah.
The book that I'm reading now, I'm rereading it for The Road to Wigan Pier, but there's a passage. They're talking about the unemployment and how bad it was. It was 1936 in northern England, and I'll paraphrase, but one of the last paragraphs is basically they made the poor so comfortable that they didn't revolt. So there was enough handouts, and you could keep the poor
provided for them.
You could provide for them just enough to where they wouldn't just tip over the whole apple cart. And that really kind of hit home to what we're seeing today. Like we've got all these people that are just comfortable enough to not get pissed off too much to go just say fuck it and flip everything over.
Right.
So I don't know. Anyway, we can talk about duck hunting again.
All right, let me ask a question.
Shoot.
You're duck hunting in western or South Oklahoma. Did that not pan out for you?
Horrible this year. No water.
Yeah,
really,
and no duck. Not very many ducks either.
They got on the river system, but there was no. Our plan was all these stock ponds.
29 ponds that we could hunt that have ducks.
Ducks. All between those, you're always going to have a pretty good hunt to go down, but they were dry.
And
no water.
No.
Lots of them went down to nothing.
Oh, wow.
And good places, too. And just you can't make water. And just But when I sold all these hunts, I sell them in the summer times, a lot of them.
Sure.
We had water.
Sure.
You know? It just takes one 3-inch thunderstorm in September, October to fill everything off, and we didn't get that. And the thing is, long-term forecast is not looking like it's going to be a wet spring.
Oh, bull.
Yeah.
No, I'm just...
my comment, I've always said over here, I just need water.
Yes.
Now, this year was a bit different, but I found them. Not a lot of greenheads, but I found the ducks that I needed to kill. But, man, when you don't have water, it's a bad. And then you add the no weather systems, no weather fronts. Man, boy, it makes it tough. And I wondered that because I knew you guys had ventured out on that duck hunting in South Oklahoma, and I wondered how it went.
No, it was we kept moving people back to Texas all the time. Here's the other problem is and I tried to explain this to a guy. I sold a hunt to a group of guys out of Maine, and the guy asked me about it. And I told him, I said, listen, on a normal winter, if we've had a slow winter and but we got lots of water everywhere, we're shooting gadwalls. We're going to shoot some teal. We'll shoot some widgeon.
Yeah.
When it gets cold, when it gets cold and nasty, then we're shooting a lot of greenheads and widgeons. But I said we might be even shoot fucking ringnecks. But when you don't have any no water, you ain't going to shoot a duck.
You ain't shooting a duck.
That's right.
One duck.
But when we go by normal year, like right now, I'm selling hunts just like based on we're going to have a normal season next year. I have no idea what we're going to have. I know that November is going to be lights out on spec hunting because it always is because it's calendar birds. But if we have these fronts, like starting since mid-January, we've been getting a north wind every 3 or 4 days. Well, if we'd have had that in November and December, we would have had new fresh birds all the time. Now the birds, we're not going to get no birds now. It could be that big cold weather we had last year, that horrible front and stuff. There wasn't 100,000 birds show up here overnight and stay here. They hunkered down where they were at because they were going back north.
Yep.
Do you ever?
Yep, you're right.
Do you ever go to Arkansas and snow goose, or does that not interest you at all?
No, I don't. No, I've been over there. I've actually goose hunted over there. That's one of my 2 or 3 times that I've actually been in a layout blind and hated every minute of it.
That's like me and waders.
but I have actually, and I've hunted specs over there with some guys too. And but I don't. That's not in my MO, dude. I'm so wrapped up. I think I commented on one of your deals. Man, when it's over, it's over. I'm glad the grind's over. And the older I get, I mean, I'm 55. I am ready for it to be done. And I catch a little grief for that. Man, you don't love it like I do love it like I used to. But man, it's a hard road. I mean, it's just a hard road to do. So I'm ready for it to be done. I need to fix a bunch of stuff and clean up a bunch of stuff, and then by the time I get rejuvenated, it's turkey season. So
now, do you do it? Is that all private where you turkey hunt at, or do you?
No, it's I believe about 80 or 90% public
on turkey hunting.
Yeah, and I don't mind saying it on air. I do lots of my hunting from a boat.
Really?
And I kill a bunch of turkeys from a boat.
How do you do that?
Yep. You just drift into these coves and hit a box call or hit a slate call, and then when you do it year after year after year, and some of these river systems too, where they're going to usually roost in and stay in.
Right.
And so now you have what we call a milk run, and you'll milk run these birds and just know where they usually are hanging. And man, I've had birds almost jump in the boat with me.
Really?
It's like my dad killed a monster bird 3 years ago. It was triple beard, about 25-pound bird. And we couldn't get out of the boat fast enough. I'm like, Dad, you're going to have to shoot this bird sitting in the boat. Because that bird was coming, and he was gobbling. And it was the last, like the old stories go, the last place we checked, we hadn't struck a bird all day. I'm like, man, let's go to this one last cove. And we got in the back of it. I hit a slate call, and this bird hammered about 60 yards from the bank. And Dad's pulling his gun out of the case. I'm like, dude, and this bird hammers again, and he closed the distance to about 30 yards. I said, you might have to shoot this thing standing in the boat. Now we were able to get out because there was buckbrush in front of us, but I actually had a fan decoy and kind of held it up in front of us, and we were able just to close it. That bird was a little curious about that decoy out in the water. It's like, what's a turkey doing out in the water? And man, that bird just peeked around the brush a little bit, and I said, shoot him, Dad, shoot him. Boom. And we were still standing basically in the water. And we took a picture with that bird, where we dropped it, and there's water in the background.
So you strike up a bird, and then ideally you can get around to a cove, get out of the boat, and kind of make a move from there?
It's super cool, dude, and I don't mind. It's a great tip. They don't hear you.
Right.
I run a 4-stroke motor, so I'm not running a mud motor or whatever. So I'm easing into some of these coves and or rivers. A lot of them are on these rivers, and you know where they're frequenting, and you can get them to answer or call, and we'll get out before daylight and set up on a spot that we know where there's birds roosted. Just a traditional. Yeah. But then you can go run and gun and by water. It's a fat man's game, dude. I'm telling you. And you can get them to strike, you can get them to gobble, and almost all of our lakes, that last 100 yards is core land. It's open public land, and you just get, now I call a bunch of birds off of private into the core land. Right. In fact, I've learned 2 or 3 spots that guys are feeding them up on their private. I've killed a bunch of birds with a bunch of corn in their craw, but I get them to come down off that private down to where I'm at. And I've had some guys come down on their little 4-wheelers and be pissed off. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm doing what I can do. This is public right here. And they know it. Those guys know it. Yeah. But it's a fun game. And we started doing that 7 or 8 years ago. And it's my MO now. Yeah. And we love doing it. And I can take my dad, who's 75 years old, with me, and we're just boom, 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 run these coves, run these creeks, and find them.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
What do they say to you?
It's pretty cool.
Hey, you're shooting my bird here?
Oh, I had a dude, man, it's 2 or 3 years ago. He heard we had this bird. Now, we didn't get this bird, but we had been about the 3rd or 4th set, and I said, man, there's usually some birds right up here in this hollow, and it was off a creek, and we jumped out. right on the core land. The core marker was right next to where we were sitting, because most of the core land's got a marker. They put a little stake up or whatever. So Dad and I sat down next to this tree and started a calling sequence. About 20 minutes into it, gobble, off about 200 or 300 yards. So, ooh, we got one. My dad, I think, was actually asleep. I'm like, hey, dude, you hear that? This bird's coming. And so I hit him again. It closed the distance another, 50, 80 yards, 100 yards, and this bird was coming and hammering pretty good. Got him to about 100 yards, and I heard a four-wheeler start up.
Oh.
Like, uh-oh, And this dude cuts the bird. Once the four-wheeler starts, or the ATV or whatever it was, he stops. I'm calling again, and the bird stops calling or gobbling. I said, oh, this will be fun. Get ready. So this dude comes driving right. He knew where we were, because he'd heard the calling.
Yeah.
And that guy was sitting up on his feeder, I'm sure. And he comes down. And he's like, what in the heck? What the F are you doing down here? What do you guys know this is, I go, yeah, I know where right here's the core land. And he knew.
Yeah.
He's like, how the hell did you get in here? And I said, that boat right there.
Right.
He's like, oh, he just put two and two together. He turned around, drove off. But he knew, I can't stop these guys from coming down this river and hunting these. And that's just, that's part of it. And I had known, the first bird, I was actually with the game warden. I was with our local game warden, and the game warden called a bird up off that land. And we were sitting down in some core. I shot the bird. I took the bird home. We took pictures. He put it on the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife website, me holding this bird. I cleaned the bird that night, and it's full of corn. I'm like,
pulled him off.
Somebody's feeding this bird.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Guess where I'm going there every year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up on that, on that edge every year, and I bet I've killed 5 or 6 birds off that guy's, land.
Well,
that bird's coming off those feeders. And
if you
start feeding turkeys, man, they're so victim to habit. They'll follow. They're so patternable. You can pattern those birds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's a free range animal. So, for them to think that, well, I'm feeding it, so it's mine. It's like, well, no, like it can easily go into this public stuff and eat acorns or whatever the hell. Like, it's not.
Most of those birds roost on public.
Right.
They're coming down to the creek edge and roosting on that public, and then they'll go up. They'll come off that roost and run right up to that feeder first thing. And so we're trying to get in. Some of these places we're trying to get in between them.
Right.
On that, and that's just become part of our game. It's kind of crazy, but that guy, I think I did mention to that guy, well, you can't be hunting them on that feeder. And he knew, this guy's got me. He knows I'm feeding these birds.
Oh, you can't.
You're not.
You can't hunt
legally in Oklahoma. You can't hunt them on a feeder.
Oh,
you got to be 100 yards. You got to be 100 yards from a feeder.
Oh, I didn't know that in Oklahoma. That's interesting.
Now you can probably hunt them in Texas off a feeder.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So, but you can't do that. You have to be within away from the feeder by 100 yards in Oklahoma.
I think in Ohio you're not even allowed to bait them at all. Period. No matter how far away you hunt. Like
I've never
understood. If you're hunting turkeys over anything you're putting out, it is illegal.
If you're feeding 100 turkeys and you kill 3, then you're doing something good for the environment.
Well, not only that,
and
like
it's squirrels,
everything, deer and squirrel and raccoons, and just everything is benefiting off of you.
Absolutely,
putting out grain.
I understand putting out a donut for a black bear. You're probably really not helping things. But
some peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
What about you're just gonna get a fat guy like me coming up there? What is the eyewworm hitting eastern Oklahoma like it is southwest Oklahoma?
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much.
Well, there's some areas in southwest Oklahoma that we used to have a lot of turkeys that you don't even see a turkey anymore.
No, they've changed the regulations, and it's barely a one bird county, or and like you get 2 weeks at shot at them.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Now is all just southwest Oklahoma? That's all that is a one bird county?
No. Most of the west, you go I-35 to the west, is a two bird. Now I have to read the regulations, so don't hold me to this, because Oklahoma got hammered with, the turkey populations here are down big.
Yeah.
And I think all of the state now is a one bird state.
Oh, okay.
So, and then that southeast section, like you were mentioning, Jeff, it's really only about a 2-week season, and it's a one bird, deal.
It has really changed a lot.
I think you can shoot 4 here in Texas, can't you? Isn't that what it is?
Probably so.
I mean, I think that's too high. I mean,
yeah.
Because I know,
man, I'm always proud just to kill one. You give me one, and I kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
I'll start fishing. I'll do some crappie fishing or bass fishing or whatever. But it's hard. I mean, we only get 30 days at it too. So and that 30 days goes quick.
Yeah, we have 6 weeks, so we'll start 1st of April, and then we'll go to mid-May.
I've never even killed a turkey in my life.
Oh, really?
I didn't let him shoot a Jake.
You said no on the Jake, huh?
Yeah.
He ruined me. Sit there and the damn thing come up. Let's shoot it and let's go home.
No.
What the hell?
No, we're not doing that at all. It was a group of bachelor Jakes. I knew they were going to be there. It was like 4 or 5 of them, and that's not what we're here for. We're here to shoot.
We did not have a sit down and talk, explain to me what we were here for before.
He didn't coach you up,
no,
Jeff?
if he would explain me that before, I don't think I'd agreed to go on the hunt.
You wouldn't have. Yeah, I promise you.
We're here to shoot King Dingaling. We're not here to dick around with a Jake.
I would drive to Kansas at a potential chance to just see a tornado, but I'm not driving 2 miles from my house to maybe shoot a turkey. No.
Right.
Now, the boat hunt sounded like it was a pretty interesting deal because each cove could be some new excitement coming up.
It is. It really is.
Now, eastern Oklahoma, y'all got that damn Bigfoot season that's fixing to start, so that even adds more intrigue.
That's fixing to start. Yeah, exactly.
I want to get into that business because that is the easiest hunting business you can be in because there is nobody ever going to kill one.
Right.
So if you charge a guy $5,000 to come shoot Bigfoot for 3 or 4 days, then you're just going to hang out and walk through the woods with some wacko that believes this shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't hang out with that clientele. Number one, you're not going to get a guy that wants to shoot Bigfoot to fork over $5,000 for 3 days. That's number one.
Oh, if you had a for sure Bigfoot, somebody'd pay $1 million.
Yeah, but you can't sell that.
Yeah,
you can't sell. You can't sell a for sure Bigfoot. But I mean, could you imagine? So let's flesh this out a little bit. Let's say you charge $500 a day for 3 days, $1,500 to shoot Bigfoot. You're going to get every hilljack in the world. And that's going to be who you're going to stick. That's who you're going to hang out with.
No, I'm
going to
hire a guide like you to do this for me. No. I'm not hanging out with them.
No.
I'm telling you right now, you could sell Bigfoot hunts, and some idiot's going to buy them.
Exactly, that's the key word. But I wouldn't want to hang out with those people.
Yep.
For $1,500 a day, would you hang out with some idiot just sit in the woods and look at the woods for all day long?
Hell, I do it for free half the time. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Don't you think with all the trail cams we have out there, and we still don't have a picture of Bigfoot?
Yes. Like a credible, there's plenty of shitty pictures, but especially as crystal clear as game cameras have gotten, we don't have one. We don't have one that's not just grainy as shit.
Oh, there's a new picture out now. Right now, I just saw it the other day. A guy's got of some, but of course, it's got a bush in front of half its face or something. Me and Andy's had a couple of Bigfoot people on, and I would love to get.
I know, I've listened to them.
I would love to get another one on. The first guy we had on here, there's no doubt that he's had some kind of romantic relationships with his first cousin. There's no doubt about that at all. The second guy was a really nice guy, but something was just off. And when he sent us these pictures of these that he had, it looked like a picture of somebody on the moon. I mean, it was just all fuzzy and grainy. He's like, that's for sure right there, a Bigfoot. Well, I don't know where it's at. No. I could take some pictures out in the woods that will be better than his of just stuff in the woods that might look like a Bigfoot. It was terrible. And the poor people, they just buy into this heart and soul. The first guy, though, the first guy was classic. And when I asked him, he said, if y'all haven't listened to this, go back. It's going to be in 2018, probably May or June. When I said, have you ever seen a Bigfoot? I think I did. And I said, where at? I went across a river, and it was down in the river. Well, did you go back?
Yeah.
No, I sure didn't. Well, if you've been chasing Bigfoot your whole life, would you not go back to look at it?
I would be back there immediately.
And then the green apple story that he's got his buddy that's got green apples, and they go eat in his orchard every day. Well, have you ever thought about going there with a camera? No, I haven't.
Right.
Again.
That's what made me feel bad is I was going to ask well, if he sees them every day, why don't you just go there and then you've seen your Bigfoot? But it's he'd never had somebody ask him that question. To us, it's common sense. As a hunter, okay, this is like fish in a barrel.
The guy did have the best Bigfoot howl we've had on our podcast so far. The best one, bar none, yeah. I mean, when I asked him to make the sound and he did, it was the best I've ever had. So,
but you've never seen anything out. All you're running and gunning, your public land, and you're everywhere. Have you ever seen anything?
I've heard some things. There I got a couple buddies that'll called me out on that. I mean, I've heard some things. I'm like, what is this? And now one time, we're wading across this slough, and I'm hearing something I've never heard before across the slough, and I'm like, load the gun, dude. Load. It was two raccoons getting it on.
Oh, yeah.
And they were making some noise I've never heard before in my life. But we got the spotlight on them, and I'm like, that. We found the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And then it was love season for the raccoons. So, and then I think there was another buddy just standing there watching them, cheering old boy on. But
we'll try that at home.
Exactly.
Did you? Do you have bears where y'all are at now?
No, well, further east, yeah. I mean, in Tahlequah and then east, right to the Arkansas border, there are. Yeah, in fact, that population's exploding.
Yes, I knew the bear population and big bears too. They got some. Yeah, they've killed 600-pounder over there. That's a lot of bear.
That first year that they issued the tags, I think they issued 30 tags, and you had to document when and where they shot those. They finished that season in like an hour.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, and then they've issued more every season. They're tagging it out. I mean, the maximum amount of what permitted opportunities to shoot a bear here in eastern Oklahoma, they're killing the limit every day or every season. And usually it's a day or two because they won't issue any more tags once they get to the limit.
What has led to the explosion of the bear population?
Sex.
I just think that that's a great question. I'm going to, the habitat's perfect, and I think that there's been a rebound, from southeast Oklahoma up, and this part of the state's got great. It's unpopulated, in regards to there's still lots of free range out there, and that Ozark, the mountains,
mm-hmm.
and so. I really don't. I mean,
so they're migrating, basically, is what you're saying.
They've moved.
I just think they're finding
further
dens
west
and habitat that will support the population, and nobody's jacking with them, and we haven't been hunting them for decades,
mm-hmm.
and so legally, people are poaching those things every year.
Yes,
but anyway,
I've seen very few bears in the wild, and me and Michelle were driving through Louisiana in July. It was 150 freaking degrees or something. And on interstate between Shreveport and Delta, Mississippi, I see this black lab come running up out of the ditch. And I'm thinking it's a freaking black dog. And all of a sudden it gets the ditch. It stands up on it. It's a damn bear. And I was like, son of a bitch, middle of the damn day. I couldn't believe it. But you just, you don't expect to see them. But they're moving further and further west and north. I know that. But that area is a good habitat for them. And they have exploded. Yep. It's crazy, but there'll be a lot more sightings when you get bears around. But I'm with you. There's too much good stuff out there but there's a lot of things out there and I've seen videos of stuff that just doesn't make sense. It just can't explain it.
Right.
But I don't care who you are. If you've spent much time in the morning waiting for the legal shooting time, and it's quiet. You've heard some shit. You've heard some shit there, and you're thinking, I wonder what the hell that is.
Or I mean, if you're just out scouting around, you're going to see something that you can't quite have an answer for.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
I'm not going to lie. I've heard it. There's something walking, dude, right there, but I'm not jumping out there and say that was a Bigfoot. I mean, it could for me. I'm not a deer guy, it could be a deer or a hog. We got pigs like crazy up here now, so.
But when you hear something walking, could you imagine being in the woods and having a guy walk up onto you in the middle of nowhere? That scared the shit out of you. Woof.
Oh, how freaky would that be?
I'm telling you.
Has somebody had that happen to them?
Up.
I'm scared of the dark. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like the dark, and I don't.
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to get my truck until the sun comes up. I went deer hunting with some buddies of mine down by Mexico years and years ago. They had a lease down by Sonora, and we weren't very far from the Mexican border. And I didn't mind hunting in the evening because they'd come to the truck and pick me up at the blind. But I hated that morning we drop off and you got to walk 300 yards in the woods to the blind. I'm like, oh, shit. It's a long-ass walk. And then I was kind of loud. I wasn't worried about shooting a deer. I just didn't want to come. My biggest fear back then was finding some guy crossing the river that had slept in that freaking blind all night. That would have scared the piss out of me.
Right. Ooh.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you being on here. It's good catching up with you.
Man, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'm gonna try to book a crane hunt down there and come down and Bring 4 or 5. What's your minimum on that? 4 guys? Is it 3,
6
4?
people for a private party.
6? I can get it.
Let me know some dates pretty soon, sir.
I have some. Well, tell me for cranes specific. I'm not interested in anything else except coming down and shooting one of those pterodactyls.
After Thanksgiving weekend, we start Thanksgiving weekend.
So after Thanksgiving, that's when you have a decent population of birds.
We got birds in October. We can't start shooting them until Thanksgiving weekend.
Thank you, State of Texas.
You would, and for my group, you guys don't have to entertain us for anything. I mean, I have a couple board members that are interested in coming, and then I got a couple of guys that I hunt with quite a bit, and we're all dyed in the wool. You don't have.
We don't worry about entertaining you. We do though. You're going to be here. You're going to be part of us. Michelle's going to feed you. The ladies are going to take care of you.
But we're not going to be asking you where we're parking the truck or all that.
You can ask them that all the time.
I hear that, and I'm like, oh.
I'm going to put that in the waiver that everybody signs. Please make sure you ask the guide where you're parking the truck every 10 minutes while you're putting out decoys.
That's the stupidest. I cringe on that.
I've had so many outfitters. I've had so many other outfitters reach out and tell me they go through the same shit, and now it's a joke with all them too.
I bet.
Where we're parking the pickups.
Very widespread deal.
When you hunt with me, it's almost like a guided hunt. I tell the guys, guests, I'm like, listen, you got 3 things to do. Okay, you're going to stay warm, you're going to stay dry, and shoot ducks. Everything else I got. You don't ask me. You're not setting out decoys, no jerk cord, no. Just stay warm, stay dry. Don't fall in the water because that ends everything. And when I tell you to shoot ducks, shoot ducks. That's all. So anyway, Well, man, I appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Have a good day, sir. Take care. Talk to you later, my friend.
Good luck this turkey season.
All right.
Get after them, all right?
You bet. I'm going to be out on the water chasing them.
Thank you, sir.
Like to hear that.
You have a good day, Chris.
Bye.
God bless you, bud.
All right.
Chris Kaiser, cool dude.
Yes, he is.
That boat deal is pretty interesting.
Never thought about hunting turkeys like that. That makes a lot of sense, though. I bet you can reach a lot of turkeys that don't get messed with very often.
I bet you everybody that does that besides him out there's like, son of a gun,
son of a bitch, he's giving away our secrets.
But that makes sense because turkeys all roost along creeks and stuff.
Well, and I mean, just like I said, if you can get to that back cove where it's hard to get to,
makes a lot of sense.
You're gonna get. Did you see Flores is suing the NFL?
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna get another job now.
Nobody will hire him now, and
because if you fire him, he's gonna sue.
Here's another thing too. And I've said it before, there's 32 people that are in that club. They have the right to hire who you want to, regardless of what color you are. I think you should hire the best man for a job. Do I think he deserves another job? Yes. I think the guy that was the coach at Tampa Bay was a good coach. I think there's a lot of great black coaches. I think there's a lot of shitty white coaches. Mm-hmm. But when you own that team, you don't want to lose. There's nobody that buys an NFL team wants to lose. All of them
Evidently, the Miami Dolphins did. They offered him $100,000 per loss.
And that's going to be a big thing coming up too. But I don't blame the guy. What the guy was wanting to do is he was wanting to try to get Joe Burrow.
They said where it all went wrong. Mr. Ross invited Flores onto his yacht. He said, I've got your quarterback of the future coming. We're assuming it was Deshaun Watson. Flores said no and got up and walked away. Said it was after that moment, it just fell off of the rails.
If I own that boat and I own that team, I want to make some decisions.
Right.
Now, if you're smart enough to have accumulated enough wealth to own an NFL franchise, and there's people that have inherited that money, there's no doubt. But most of the people that are buying these teams have made their money. You want to be the boss still, kind of. Right. Hire you a football guy. And if you thought that Deshaun Watson was going to make a difference and that's who you wanted, the loss thing was to get Joe Burrow.
Really?
Yes, that was to get Joe Burrow. Instead, they went with Tua because they couldn't get him up first. They offered Cincinnati 3 first-round picks for that draft pick. I don't blame Cincinnati. They're playing in the Super Bowl.
Now, Bill Belichick kind of fucked things up.
Yep,
because he thought he was texting Brian Dabble.
Yes, and it was
on a Tuesday. It was Brian Flores who said, "I don't even interview until Thursday."
Yeah, that's what started the whole thing.
So evidently, like, even though teams are abiding by the Rooney Rule and interviewing the I think it's 2 minorities,
there's something wrong with Brian Flores that nobody's giving him a job.
Well, evidently it's they had said, I had heard reports that he was stubborn and hard-headed. And if you've got the owner of the team that says, hey, this is the quarterback of our future, he's going to be here in a minute, he's meeting us on this yacht, and you get up and walk away from the meeting, Like it or not, that guy's your boss.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. There's something going on with Brian Flores that doesn't meet the smell test, and I don't know what it is. But I'm tired of the world we live in where things need to be based on color. It needs to be based on merit of who you are. And there are a lot of good black coaches out there that deserve a chance to be an NFL head coach. There's no doubt about that. And there's a lot of shitty white ones out there. But the track record with black head coaches isn't very good either.
Well,
but just like white guys. I mean,
yeah, but I mean,
most NFL coaches don't make it. That's why there's new ones. What, they're 9 this year?
Yeah.
25% of the league's replacing them. So it's not just it's not a skin color deal. It's just it's hard to be that coach. You got to be in the right situation. You got to get at the break. They were fixing to fire Zach Taylor if they wouldn't have made the playoffs this year, probably in Cincy.
Right.
Is he a good coach, or is it just got that much talent around him? You got to be in the right place at the right time. Pete Carroll's been horrible now, last couple of years. You know, they probably would like to fire him, but I don't think you should base. I don't think anybody should get interviewed just because of what color they are, because then you're just giving token interviews, and that's not right either. You need to.
Well, just like Brian Flores was going to be to the Giants.
That's exactly right, and I don't blame the Giants on the guy they got. They got a guy they like. They got a good coach. You know,
but I don't know. It just.
It's like the Supreme.
Now, you know, I said he was going to get another job. What NFL team's going to hire him now? Obviously, he's suing the NFL. Now NFL teams are going to be like, well, shit. If we hire this guy
and it don't work
and
out,
it doesn't work out, we can't fire him because there's going to be a lawsuit.
It's kind of like this Supreme Court justice deal. There are a lots, hundreds of thousands of people that are good enough for this job. You shouldn't base it based on color. Because there's a lot of good Chinese ladies out there. What about them? Mexican ladies.
You're not going to get a shot at this one.
You know, we got to hire a black lady. Well, we had to hire a black lady as vice president, and that's worked out to be pretty much like shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening, but I think the NFL's got this deal with him paying $100,000 to his head coach for every loss he has. That is not good for the business of the NFL. I did see that they said that the Denver Broncos were going to start out the bidding at over $4 billion.
That was another thing. Flores said he interviewed with the Broncos, and I guess Elway and somebody else showed up 2 hours late and hung over.
Well, the
Broncos said no.
Yes.
We were on time. We had a 3.5-hour interview, and there were 5 executives.
Yes.
So this whole notion of 2 people showing up late, hung over, is horseshit.
Yeah, that's what I think that, you know, who knows? There's the proofs in the middle somewhere. Now, the Broncos and their $4 billion price tag, I hope the black guy from Denver buys the team. I do. I hope that happens, because then I want him to show the world that he can achieve whatever he wants to achieve. He made his money, and he can hire who he wants, whether it's a black guy, white guy, green guy, brown guy, whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I hope he does do that. I don't think $4 billion. I think it's going to end up being a $7 billion deal, because if Jeff Bezos wants to buy an NFL franchise, he can write a check for $20 billion.
Ain't a damn thing you can do to stop it.
And the people that trust are going to take the highest bid they've already said. And I don't blame them. That's what I do.
Yeah,
all right, it's pouring down here again.
All right. We're going to get out of here. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in. That's really all I got.
God bless y'all. Have a great week. I don't know when this podcast is even coming out, but
Friday.
This will be out Friday. So see you later. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Check out all of our wonderful sponsors before you get out of here. Check out the Looking Glass Duck Club podcast. Check out Gundog Outdoors, Bangtail Whiskey, Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, Lucky Duck, Dirty Duck Coffee, Boss Shot Shells, Pacific Calls, Dive Bomb Industries, Shin Gear Waders, and Steak Plains Meats.